If you think investing is just buying a stock just because the chart looks good, you're completely wrong. Let me share with you 6 trading tools professional investors use to make informed decisions before putting any money into a company. So the first one is a balance sheet. So let me explain what's the balance sheet and how to analyze the balance sheet. To make it shorter, the balance sheet will allow you to know if the company is financially healthy or not. The balance sheet shows what a company owns, what it owes, and what is left for shareholder. And you have two key elements. The first one are the asset. Inside the asset, which is here, you have the cash and investment, the accounts receivable, property and equipment, and all the asset. So this is, for example, the balance sheet, okay, and especially the asset for American Airlines for the Q2 this year. The second part is about the liabilities. You have the short and long-term debt, the accounts payable, the current liabilities, and all the obligation visible in this part as well. And at the end, you have the total, okay, total asset, total debt, total equity, total liabilities, and total receivable. And the question at the end is, can the company comfortably meet its financial obligation? And this is very important. Next, you have what we call the income statement, which is completely different. The income statement allows you to know if the business is actually profitable or not. Very basic and very simple. Is the business profitable? Yes or no? You can check it with this data. Because to make it short, to the income statement show you how much money the business generates and how much it keeps. So you have different parts. You have the revenue, of course, the operating expenses, the gross income, the pre-tax income, the net income, and the EPS. And you have the expense here, net income, supplemental item, per share item, total, financing, and so on. Again, for Q2, for American Airlines. And the question at the end is just this one. It's very simple. Is the business becoming more profitable over time or not? Because of course, if you want to invest in a company, you want the company to be profitable. You want them to generate money. So you want to be sure that over time they become profitable. And this is definitely what the income statement allows you to do and analyze quarter by quarter. Okay, you have the Q1 before, Q4, Q3 for last year, and now this is of course the Q2, and you will get the new one later this year with the Q3. Now the third one is what we call the cash flow report. To make it shorter is simple. Okay, it's very simple. Where's the cash actually going? Because of course the company is making money. Okay, they got some cash. Where the cash is going? They don't use cash just for nothing. Okay, so the profit is an accounting measure. Okay, to make it short, cash flow show where the money actually goes. You have three key parts. The first one is the operating, cash generated by the business. Yeah, of course, to make the company working, you need to spend money, okay, for the operation, right? If you need to use some stuff, some machine and so on, this is part of the operation, so you use money for that. The second part is the investing, basically the capex and long-term investment, especially R&D and so on, okay? The third one is financing. It's all about the debt, repayment, and financing activity. So you have here the three parts, okay? You have the cash for American Airlines, you have the financing for American Airlines again, and the investing for American Airlines, again for Q1. And you can check the percentage here, and especially the amount as well. Okay, you can analyze everything, and you have the total at the end. You have the net cash financing activities, the net income starting line, net investing cash flow, net operating cash flow. And at the end, analyzing the cash flow should allow you to answer this quick question. Can the business generate enough cash to fund themselves? If they are not able to generate enough cash, maybe it's naturally worth it to invest in this company. So this is like the three big elements to analyze if you want to invest in a company. But again, to make a quick summary, if we go back with the balance sheet, okay, American Airlines currently show negative shareholder equity But let me explain. That doesn't automatically mean that the company is going bankrupt. Absolutely not. But for a long-term investor, that's something you absolutely want to investigate, because you want to be sure that basically the negative shareholder equity is not increasing over time. You have to be careful about it. And that's exactly why you're analyzing all this kind of data. Okay. However, you should notice something. You can now see that almost 29 billion are about the debt. Basically, the total debt is about 29 billion for American Airlines. And this is visible here. You have the total debt, okay, in this part. And if you check this line, you have basically 28.9. The previous quarter, okay, the Q1, it was 28. So it increased a little bit, right? Total asset increased a little bit as well. The total equity decreased a little bit. The total liabilities increased a little bit, and the total receivable decreased a little bit, okay? Now, if we go back with the income statement after explaining what it is, and we make a quick summary, we know that now American Airlines owns and holds some stuff, okay? But as I said, the question is, American Airlines is making money, yes or no? That's very simple. Yes, they make money. No, they not make money. And yes, they do. The revenue is about 16.7 billion. And you can check, okay, the revenue here. You have 16.7. Before, okay, for Q1, it was 13.9. And for Q4, it was 13.9 as well. It was very close for Q4 and Q1. And Q2, they definitely increase their revenue, okay? But again, revenue alone doesn't really mean anything. It's not really like the most important part, because a company can generate billions of dollars and still be a terrible investment if it costs absurd everything. Because of course, if you have revenue, but at the end, if you have some cost, the costs are increasing, you start to understand that even if they make some revenue, maybe this revenue will be used for the cost. And at the end, it's not really the best investment. So for that, if we analyze American Airlines, they generate over 16 billion in quarterly revenue here, but net income is only 71 million. As you can see, it's not the same. Revenue and net income is absolutely not the same. And it's not the same amount as well. And they're sharply lower now. So that's why investors don't just look at sales. We don't really care about the sales itself. We care about margin and how much of that revenue actually reached the bottom line. Because as I say, the revenue is pretty nice. The net income is not crazy. As you can see, 71, okay. But for example, for the Q4, if we make a quick comparison, it was 99. Not crazy. So it decreased. If we go back with the cash flow report as well, and we do a quick summary, this is definitely, let's say, where most beginner investors stop way too early. They don't fully understand the bigger picture. They don't fully understand everything. A company can report a profit. Okay, they have some profit. But in the same time, the cash situation tells a completely different story, because this is two different things. So you have three key elements, as I said, if you remember. The operating cash flow, which is the cash generated primarily from operation. The investing cash flow, what the company spend or invest particularly in asset and capex, and financing cash flow, which is a debt repayment, and also financial activity. But until now, we analyze American Airlines. We didn't analyze another stock. And American Airlines is very specific. Why? Simply because they need aircraft. They need crazy infrastructure and constant capital expenditure. And we know that most airlines are not that profitable at the end. This is like a very, very complex and competitive sector. So again, understanding how much cash the core business produces versus how much capital the company consumes is extremely important. And as I said, most beginners don't really understand this part. And now you start to understand the difference. So it was just a quick explanation about the three key elements, which are the balance sheet, okay, the income statement, and the cash flow. This is like very, very basic. If you want to invest in a stock, you cannot just look at the chart. It doesn't tell you anything. You want to understand the situation, the financial situation, the financial situation about, yeah, American Airlines, Apple, Amazon, Adobe, everything. Okay, so now let's go back to Prime Terminal, because inside Prime Terminal you can also analyze all the data. So you have the analyst recommendation on the bottom left. This is a trading tool that allows you to know what the biggest financial analysts recommend about this specific stock. We are not talking about another one. We are talking about American Airlines for this example, right? So for example, the consensus rating now is, let's say, quite neutral. Why? You have 4 analysts for a strong buy. You have 11 for a buy. You have 14 for an hold, 1 for a sell, and 0 for a strong sell. So this is like neutral, slightly bullish. And you can also basically see the rating over time here. And you can see that the hold increased a little bit. Since the beginning of this year, they increased the hold position. However, the sell and strong sell didn't really appear. So it means that for now, for most analysts, the recommendation is still hold the position or long, basically. So it's not a trading signal again, it's just to allow you to better understand what the analyst recommend about it. And you can also check the percentage. For example, for the 11 people here, you can make a quick comparison, and you know that it represents 36% of them. 36% of them are definitely recommending to buy this specific stock. You have another tool, which is the institutional shareholder. So it just allows you to know what are the biggest shareholder of this specific company. So the big one, okay, is definitely Vanguard. You have Vanguard here, it's about 9.43%. And you can also notice the current percentage of share. You have the amount here. You have BlackRock after them. You have Prime Cap Management Company. You have UBS, State Street, GOD Capital Management, Two Sigma Investment, Two Sigma Advisor, Morgan Stanley, US Global Investors, Slate Pass Capital, Dimension, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You know exactly what are the biggest shareholder. So why is it important? Simply because it will allow you to understand who has the most share of this specific company. And if you see some moves, maybe it means something. So let's say someone from Vanguard is invited in, let's say, a Bloomberg show or TV show, okay? And some people are asking a simple question: what's the position of Vanguard about American Airlines? Of course, you want to listen to what these people say, because you know that they are definitely on the top of the shareholder, okay? They own basically close to 9% of total share. So it means that if they said, okay, yeah, we analyze the situation, it's not really crazy, we're a bit afraid of, let's say, this summer because of the inflation, because of the cost of the oil, so maybe the revenue would just decrease, the net income as well, blah, blah, blah. Maybe investing in American Airlines now is probably not the best idea. Why? Simply because even Vanguard can probably decide to short the stock or maybe reduce the exposure, simply because they better understand the context, the world situation. But if it's the opposite, they say that, okay, we analyze the situation. We know that American Airlines expect some more tourists this month. The seasonality is quite bullish for the number of passengers they plan to get. So basically, it should increase the net income, it should increase the revenue, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. So having this kind of information can probably allow you to better understand the situation and better understand that going long or buy this stock could make sense. Again, this is not a trading signal. It's just a way for you to better understand what, let's say, the big fish are doing. Okay, this is not a trading signal. It's just about assessing the situation using this kind of tool and using real-time information. And the last tool is the recent analyst action. So inside Prime Terminal, you can access the recent analyst action. So for example, you have the firm here, Piper Sandler, okay, Piper Sandler here. would definitely maintain the position, and the position is overweight. And it was this week. Same for JP Morgan. They kept the position, they maintained the position, they went from neutral to neutral, nothing. However, for C-Sport Global, they went from buy to neutral. And as you can see, the action, you have the red arrow, so they decreased the position. However, for example, for Argus Research, which is another firm, they went from hold to buy. So they definitely increase the position. Now, we just analyzed Apple, right? We did something quite basic. I just explained what the balance sheet, what the income statement, what the cash flow report. At the beginning, as I said, it's probably, let's say, boring because we went back to the basics, because I know that most of you are probably you're probably a beginner. You don't really know how to analyze this kind of stuff. And again, this is very, very simple and very basic. You can do it. And that's why I just explain it in a way that you can definitely understand what I say and you can replicate my process. But as I said, we did the boring part at the beginning to just allow you to better understand what the balance sheet, what the income statement, what the cash flow report. I know that they teach this kind of things in school, especially in business school and this kind of stuff, but it doesn't mean that you know how to use it. So I just show you a quick example with American Airlines today using Prime Terminal, but with Prime Terminal, you can do it with every stock. So if now you want to analyze the recent analyst action, let's say for Apple, boom, you have Apple. And you know that, for example, JP Morgan maintained the position. C-Sport Global decreased the position. If now you want to do it with another one, I don't know, it could be Google, okay? Completely different as well. So that's why you can definitely analyze everything. You can analyze the income statement for each company as well. You can analyze any stock at any time, okay? So if we do it with Apple as well, boom, you have Apple, so you have the asset, you have the liabilities, you have the total, then you have the income statement for ADP. But now if you want to do it with another company again, because you're considering to go long on, let's say, JP Morgan stock, let's say, you can do it. You can check the expenses, the net income, and so on. So this is a way to invest as an investor. This is completely different from speculative trading itself. Okay, this is more long term, right? But this is a six key element I want to share with you today. But I want to share another one, which is the bank research. Okay, so you can also read what the big banks recommend. So if you want to understand, let's say, what they recommend about Apple, you can check some bank research about Apple, for example, or So we're gonna select the those research. This is the one from Bank of America. This is another example, right? This is earlier this year, but it doesn't change anything. And sometimes they give you what the investor think about the world economy, what they recommend as a buy stock, a sell stock, neutral stock, or if they increase or decrease the exposure. So you can definitely track basically what institutions are doing and what they recommend about it, especially for that. So that's why reading this bank research is definitely another tool that you should use if you want to make informed decision. I know long-term investment is something new. For most of you, this is something completely different, but now you can do it using Prime Terminal. And then, of course, last thing, if you want to know what's happening in real time, it's very simple. Just use the real-time headline. Just listen to what people say. So for example, you have some news regarding Alphabet, okay, Google. So just imagine you analyze Google, you want to invest in Google. You want to check the latest news. You want to stay updated. You don't want to miss anything because it could impact your position or maybe the scenario you already plan, okay? So for example, for Alphabet here, they say that Alphabet files for 10-part note offering of up to USD 25 billion, and you have the explanation here, blah blah blah, and you get this kind of information every day. To be honest, you have SpaceX here, so they talk about Musk. If you only want the stock, it's very simple. You just unselect everything and you can only select, let's say, US data, the US equity, for example. Okay, and you don't want anything else, so you can better understand the Intel situation, you know, all the data such as, yeah, again, SpaceX, Google, Apple, Amazon, American Airlines, everything. So this is the best way to get the information as soon as possible. Even the institution use it because they want to make informed decisions. So at the end, they want to get the best data and best information. So now you can do it with Prime Terminal. So yeah, it was just a quick video to explain how to invest. Again, this is not a financial advice or anything. It's just a way to show you that you can do it in a more professional way instead of just looking at the chart, because if you see a support, a resistance on the upper chart, it doesn't mean anything if you don't understand the financial situation, if you don't understand the bigger picture. So yeah, again, if you have any question, feel free to ask, and don't forget to subscribe.